Bailey's Heart and Soul Foundation was established in June of 2021 after the untimely death of Bailey Bullock, a 16-year-old student and football player at John Carroll High School. This foundation strives to raise awareness for sudden cardiac arrest by providing education and all the tools necessary to respond to this life-threatening emergency. Join us in the next 30 minutes as we speak to Bailey's family and friends and hear what they're doing to honor his memory. I'm Christy Breslin, and this is Harford MagaScene. I now have the honor of being joined by Patrice Bullock. She is Bailey's mom. She is also the founder of the new organization to honor Bailey's memory, Bailey's Heart and Soul. Patrice joins us today to tell us all about Bailey's journey and what we can do as a community to help move the foundation along. Hi, Patrice.
Hi, Christy.
Now, Patrice, tell me, what is Bailey's Heart and Soul Foundation?
So the Bailey's Heart and Soul Foundation is an organization that was established in Bailey's honor. It was actually started in June of 2021 after Bailey succumbed to sudden cardiac arrest. As a family, as a mom, we feel as though we needed to do a continuation legacy to honor Bailey.
Tell me about Bailey. I mean, I've heard so much about him, and he had so much to give back to the community.
So Bailey was a young man with plans. He had a primary and secondary plan. Bailey's ultimate plan in life was to be an accomplished football player. To be exact, Bailey wanted to be a wide receiver. However, Bailey knew that being a football player was not the ultimate, as that's a profession that who knows what will happen. So Bailey's secondary goal was to ensure that he had a strong educational background. Bailey was pragmatic. He was someone who knew exactly what the reality entails. People who know Bailey would say that Bailey was an old soul, just the way Bailey thinks. He didn't see things on an everyday basis. As I mentioned earlier, Bailey had primary and secondary plans. Bailey was someone who motivated himself. He was a self-starter. He did not need myself or someone to prompt him or to bribe him for him to accomplish, whether or not it was his homework, studying for a test, being on the football team, whatever that sport is, Bailey would basically give it his all. However, Bailey was his greatest critic. He would basically analyze to say, yes, I did well in this area. No, I didn't, or this is what I need to do to improve myself. And Bailey would actually take the initiative to ensure that he accomplished what he was set out to accomplish.
Patrice, I can't imagine. How are you dealing with the tragedy of losing a child?
It's the most horrific, terrible journey that anyone, or for myself, has experienced. It's something that I would not want for another human being to endure. It's a pain that there's just no word to describe how you're feeling on a day-to-day basis. The memories of Bailey is basically what keep us going and what motivate us on a daily basis. Bailey would say, you can do it, go get it, show them what you have. And just hearing those aspiration, those kind of motivation, it's almost as though he's pushing you along. So even in the middle of crying or in the middle of tears, we may all laugh, we may all smile, but deep down, we're definitely hurting. At the same token, we're a strong family. We have friends and, family that's supporting us. But again, it's a journey that is difficult.
I can only imagine. Now, the foundation is really helping to raise awareness about what took Bailey, sudden cardiac arrest. Can you
Correct.
explain kind of the health background that Bailey was dealing with?
So sure. So Bailey had a diagnosis of WPW, which is Wolff-Parkinson's-White syndrome. It's sort of a little tongue twister.
Yeah.
So basically, that entails that the heart can go into an arrhythmia and sometimes beat at a fast pace. Could beat anywhere up to 200 beats for that one little episode. Bailey was diagnosed when he was 14. He had one episode of WPW and was started on medication. He had no other events or episode since he was 14. So on May 12, I can remember as though it was yesterday, it was sometimes after 4, Bailey called to say that he was ready to be picked up. Brianna was here. Brianna, she's our daughter. And she went to get Bailey. And by the time she got there, which the school is probably a little 6 to 7 minutes drive away from here, Bailey's journey had ended. And to us, that's difficult. It feels as though we're in a daze. You're in a dream. You're still sleeping. It's like wishing that you never wake up from that dream because, again, you just don't want to face that reality. And that makes it difficult on a daily basis. But with sudden cardiac arrest, it can happen to anyone. And this is why it's so important with the awareness for everyone to know the importance of CPR and AED application. A healthy person can develop sudden cardiac arrest. There can be no warning sign. At the same token, someone may have an episode where they may feel dizzy, especially with young athletes. They're, out there and being energized, working. Their adrenaline is just kicking. So, of course, the heart can kick into that overdrive, and someone can have sudden cardiac arrest without having any other prior health condition. It's really important as a community that we all know how to respond when someone experiences sudden cardiac arrest. As CPR, chest compression, it is just so important for everyone to know that the ability to save lives is super important, as anyone could have experienced what Bailey experienced.
Is that why you started the foundation?
Yes, absolutely. So we started the foundation to bring awareness to sudden cardiac arrest. That awareness is through education, CPR training, and AED application. The AED does not work without chest compression. As a matter of fact, the American Heart Association have articles in regards to the importance of chest compression, because that's what actually keeps the heart going. The AED will not necessarily shock someone unless it reads that there's a rhythm. So as a general community, it's super important for everyone to know how to perform chest compression. And the timeliness and the depth of the chest compression. The heart only has a window of 4 to 5 minutes to respond, or to lose oxygen rather. So if CPR is not started timely, someone can basically have a negative outcome.
You've already made such big strides in Bailey's heart and soul getting off the ground. What are your plans for future growth?
So future plan for Bailey's heart and soul, definitely we are funding scholarships for Bailey. The first recipient will be in 2023 because that's the year that Bailey would have graduated. So that's sort of like super important just to see someone receiving a scholarship in Bailey's honor. and that person will be able to move forward and accomplish things that Bailey wouldn't have been able to accomplish. But overall is to continue with the mission of the organization, and that is to perform training and screening. With some individuals, you may be able to tell that someone may have a diagnosis that would potentially contribute to sudden cardiac arrest. Again, not everyone will necessarily exhibit such symptoms. Merge with the community, being a voice for Bailey, and just continue to educate others and to keep Bailey's memories alive.
Now, Patrice, anybody that wants to learn more about the organization and what they can do to help, maybe give back, maybe volunteer, how can we get in touch with you?
Sure, definitely. So Bailey do have a website. It's baileysheartandsoul.org. In addition, they can also just, once they go to the foundation, there's Facebook link, there's Instagram, and there's also a telephone number. So basically just go into the organization, they'll be able to connect with us.
Patrice, thank you so much. This was not an easy story to tell, and you did. And with all the pain that you're going through, you are working so hard to make sure that you save another family from going through something like this with the education you're providing. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, coming up next, we're going to speak to some of the people in Bailey's life and find out more about sudden cardiac arrest, the signs and the symptoms. Stay with us. I'm now joined with Brooke Hopkins. Brooke is from Volunteer, an organization that her and her son Drew started. Drew also was friends with Bailey, and she is here to talk about all the support that the family is receiving from the community and what we can do as well to help really get people to understand the mission of Bailey's Heart and Soul. Hi, Brooke.
Hi, Christy. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Now, Brooke, how did you first connect with Bailey's Heart and Soul and Patrice?
So, unfortunately, my son and I witnessed Bailey's event at John Carroll. Drew ran track with Bailey, so after practice, Bailey wasn't feeling well. I was in the circle at John Carroll, and I witnessed the entire thing along with my son. So we felt, as a mom, I had to reach out.
Well, I know, for everybody that doesn't know, Volunteer, very proud of you, very proud of Drew. You give back so much to the community. How has Volunteer really partnered with Bailey's Heart and Soul?
Sure. So in September, we hosted a run for Bailey, a 5K, and we had about 450 runners, many of John Carroll Patriots, many from sports teams, Sea Mountain Wright soccer team, Patterson Mill football team, Boston football team. Many athletes came together to truly just honor him and honor his family. We raised about, I want to say, $25,000.
Well, Brooke, I can't imagine how Drew felt. I can't imagine how the classmates felt. Can you give me a little bit more insight on how things actually went down that day and the reaction from the kids?
Sure. So, I mean, they were, when you play sports in high school, you go every day.
Right.
So Bailey wasn't feeling great, and he sat out, I think, half of the practice, and his sister was on his way to come get him. And, if you're a John Carroll family, you know the circle at John Carroll. That's where all the moms and dads come and pick their kids up. And Bailey left a little early because he wasn't feeling well. He made it up to the circle to where his sister was supposed to pick him up. And I was behind his sister in the parking lot or in the circle. And I said to Brianna when I met her, she was waiting for her brother to get picked up, and he was late. And she got out and she was like annoyed that he wasn't there. And when she realized it was Bailey that was laying down, it's a screech I will never forget. They were working on him. My son was there. There was about, at this point, 12, maybe 15 kids surrounding him while they were trying to revive him. The ambulance was coming, and I mean, we witnessed the whole thing.
Now, I think this organization is going to have a big impact on Harford County. don't you think?
I mean, absolutely. And it took an event like this to really see the importance of it, and it could really happen to anyone. So it's important that teens know how to do it. I know Volunteering will definitely be supporting their event in February they're having, because I want at least our teens, and we have a broad reach, right? I want our teens to know how to respond in the event something happens.
Well, for other fellow community members, what can they do to give back to the organization?
So I think the big thing right now is just support, right? Bailey's family is grieving. They have had an incredible loss. So picking the phone up, writing a letter, being there. I mean, as a mom, I cannot imagine the pain that their family is experiencing.
Absolutely unimaginable.
It is, I mean, I just can't even.
Yeah, there's really no words for it.
So I think being a good friend and spreading the foundation's purpose is a fantastic way to help.
Now, Brooke, you more than anybody know the importance of volunteerism, and that's what we're really going to need to move this foundation forward with all the events that we are going to have coming up in the near future.
Yep.
So thank you to you, thank you to Drew and all the volunteers for really giving back.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
Well, coming up next, we're going to hear from another volunteer and why she gives back to the foundation and what she hopes to see happening in the future. Laura Schneider is a volunteer with Bailey's Heart and Soul, and her son Josh was also a close friend of Bailey. So she is here to tell us about her involvement and how volunteering can really help the foundation grow in the future. Laura, thanks so much for being with us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Now, Laura, what was your motivation for becoming involved with Bailey's Heart and Soul?
Well, I know Patrice from our kids playing sports together, and of course to watch, our son and their friends kind of go through this grief was just unbearable, and to see how strong Patrice has been and the fact that she's been motivated so greatly to create such a good organization to bring some information out to the public and to kind of help people realize that this is something that can happen to anybody. I just feel like she asked for help, and I absolutely want to assist with her.
Tell me more about your son's friendship with Bailey.
Yeah, they played basketball, they played football together. Bailey was such a great kid. He was a quiet giant, I kind of called him. He was very talented and just a great kid. He was always so sweet, and he was very quiet too. So it was interesting because my son's kind of the opposite, but they got along so well. They went to school together, and he was just an amazing child.
Now, how is your son doing with this? It must be so difficult losing a friend, especially at 16 years old.
It's something we talk about a lot, and the fact that, you take life for granted sometimes, and the fact that so few people expect anything like that to happen to a young person.
Right.
I think that's what was most surprising about it happening and most devastating, because you don't expect that.
Well, in your opinion, how important is it that we know about sudden cardiac death awareness? I'll be the first one to admit I never would have guessed it would have happened to someone that young.
Me neither. And I actually coach high school sports. I coach track at C. Milton Wright. Until that happened was the first time that it really occurred to me that we need to make people more aware and have people understand what are the steps to take and what happens in an emergency like that. We're all trained in order to be able to coach, but the kids, not necessarily. They don't really know what to do. So when something like this occurs, people just look around and have no idea what the next step is and how to address the problem. So I think just bringing the awareness and starting to train people, just even with the basics, doesn't even have to be full CPR training, just the basics of life-saving techniques, while someone gets help is really important.
Well, I know that you're good friends with Patrice, and she really wants to get this foundation moving. What can we do? What would our role be in helping to move the foundation forward?
Really, it's to raise awareness. I think there are a lot of people who want to help but don't know how. So it's a matter of just creating that communication to get out to as many people as possible. And I think through the school system would be great, through the rec council. We've talked about all these types of organizations that we can just kind of reach out to get some attention, because those are the people who we need to reach the most. That's the group that you don't expect anything like this to happen, but if you think about it, everybody knows someone who's had some sort of heart attack or heart condition or something along those lines, whether it's an older person or a younger person. You know, everyone knows someone. So this is just great, a life-saving skill that I think everyone should have.
This has been one very tough life lesson to learn. How do you think it's changed not only your son, but the people around him?
Honestly, I think one thing that my son and I have talked about is never to take life for granted, you know, and the fact that, you know, Bailey's sister had spoken with him just 15 minutes before that happened. And she didn't expect that to be what she arrived to when she went to pick him up. So I think it's, you know, just a matter of, you know, getting to know what are the possible things that can happen, how do we address it if there is an emergency, and also not to take life for granted. I mean, he was gone way too soon and he had such a bright future.
Now, we know that we did the 5K, which was very successful. Any other fundraisers planned for the future?
So in February on the 19th from 9 to 3 p.m. At the Bel Air Armory in Bel Air, Maryland, we're going to be having an event where you can actually get certified for CPR and also learn the compression techniques that are life-saving in an emergency and can at least get things started while help arrives. So you can sign up. We'll actually have this sent out to everybody, but you can sign up for a slot and be able to do that. We're going to do a lot of fundraising as well, so we'll have some donations and raffles and stuff just to make it a little more fun for everybody.
Now, Laura, what would the fundraising dollars go towards?
So actually it would go towards the purchase of AED devices in order to put them in the majority of the schools and also in public places as well. So we had looked into it, and there really aren't many on the trails in Harford County. We don't really see any of that. So we're noticing that there is a need, you know, to verify that all the schools have as many as they need, because they have to be within a certain reach. And also some of the public places, you know, the Bel Air Rec Council and those types of places, to make sure that they have what they need in order to be safe in case there is an emergency.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And the community, the business community, how has everybody really reacted to this? Because this is just such a shock.
Absolutely. So obviously everyone has been shocked, and at this point the organization is still new. So we're still trying to get the word out and let people know that we are trying to make a difference and to prevent this from happening to anyone else again. Because obviously just this tragedy alone, it's just hard to even understand the depth of it and the pain that can be felt by Patrice and the rest of the family. So obviously people want to help, so it's going to be a matter of just getting more organized, getting the word out to more people, and making communication the key.
Do you currently need volunteers?
Absolutely. We will take the more the merrier. So, you know, obviously Patrice has the website set up, and of course we're going to be reaching out, and we'll have places for people to sign up to assist.
Laura, thank you so much. It sounds like Bailey really had a lot of good friends, and it sounds like a lot of the moms are really rallying around Patrice to help the family deal with this unimaginable loss.
Yeah, and it's something that, you know, we're going to be asking for help in the future, and I'm sure we'll have a lot more support.
Absolutely. Now, Bailey's memory and Bailey's legacy will live on. Now we're going to hear a few words from some of the important people that were in his life.
My name is Donovan Parks, and I'm an emergency room physician in the Baltimore area for the last 35 years. During this time, I have seen multiple episodes of sudden cardiac death, as well as cardiac death related to chronic disease. The devastating aspect of sudden cardiac death is that it happens unexpectedly, and usually to a young person. And when that happens, that's one of the most devastating things that can happen to a family, is to lose a young loved one. So we decided to start Bailey's Heart and Soul Foundation. And the mission of Bailey's Heart and Soul Foundation is to educate people about sudden cardiac death and what can be done to improve the outcome. This would include things such as CPR and the use of AED machines. Remember that in sudden cardiac death or any form of collapse, the first thing that has to be established is that we maintain circulation to the brain. The brain is a vital organ that requires oxygen and nutrients continuously, and if left without this for greater than 4 minutes, the brain is irreversibly damaged, or can be irreversibly damaged. So we elected to teach people CPR, which will in turn allow one to circulate blood through the body and to the brain, to more vital organs. And when available, the use of AED machines, which also will monitor any cardiac activity and allow you to shock the individual as needed, as suggested by the machine. The machine is used for primarily laypersons who need to be kind of instructed as to what to do. But through our educational process, we hope to educate people on how to do CPR, effective CPR, and how to use the AED machines. The other aspect of Bailey's Heart and Soul Foundation will be to develop a scholarship for other children of Bailey's age who exemplify similar characteristics, i.e. Avid student who is dedicated to good academia, and a student that is dedicated to sports, whether it be football, basketball, or track. Bailey was all of these things. And because of that, we find it necessary to bring that education to the public and distribute it to as many people as possible.
Hi, I'm Benjamin Bullock. I'm Bailey's older brother.
Hi, I'm Brianna Bullock. I'm Bailey's big sister.
And we're his siblings. Sadly, Brandon Bullock isn't here today. He's still going through a lot, dealing with the loss that we're all dealing with. So we'll just bring to you what we have to share and hope that you guys are here for it. So, Bailey's Heart and Soul Foundation. It really means a lot to, well, just not just us, but I would hope the public. We're reaching out to a lot of schools, and we just want to bring on the importance of what it is for AED and just caring for students. We wouldn't want what happened to Bailey to happen to any other student. So this foundation is more than just training or AEDs, just looking out for safety of people in general. Bailey was a phenomenal kid. I mean, he was a go-getter. It's literally called Heart and Soul, but he put his heart and soul into literally everything he did. Love that kid. So we just want to be able to share that importance with everyone listening to this message, and hopefully you guys take it upon yourself to want to take that initiative to be a part of what we were doing and see the success that we were trying to achieve. But it's all just love, honestly. I don't have much else to say.
Yeah, kind of going off of what Ben said, Bailey, he's the only younger sibling that I have, and he's pretty much one of the best people that I'm so grateful to have known. He's so, very much full of love and light. He always had a smile on his face, always excited to be active in sports, which is kind of why the foundation is very much important to me and why something I'm very happy to be involved in. There's a lot of students that participate in after-school sports, and it's very important that when our kids are there after school, that they're safe and that there's people who are there who can respond to emergency situations. Like Ben was saying, it's very important that people are CPR and AED trained, because what happened to Bailey was indeed what it's called. It's sudden cardiac arrest. It happens very suddenly. I mean, I was talking to Bailey 15 minutes before he passed, it could just happen. And it's one of those things that you hope never happens, but you want to be prepared for if it does. So if any help from the community while we're going forward in our events would be very much appreciated. We love Bailey a lot. He means very much to us. And you all probably have someone who's like a Bailey in your life, and we'd like for them to be safe as well.
Hi, I'm Drew Evans, founder and president of Valentine. We're supporting Bailey's Foundation because he's a good guy with a great heart, and he deserves to be honored.
As you have seen and heard today, Bailey Bullock left his mark on this world, but was ultimately taken from us way too soon. The foundation strives to raise awareness about sudden cardiac arrest and prevent this from happening to any other family. If you would like to learn more about the foundation, volunteer, or make a donation, or come to one of the events, you can visit them at baileysheartandsoul.org. I'm Christy Breslin. See you next month on Harford MagaScene.